But if he wants to move away from that kind of Drive trademark, I think he needs to drop Gosling's and hire other people. I think potentially if Only God Forgives had someone else in the film, it might have brought something that the people didn't like it, that they would have liked it had someone else in it. Kristen Scott Thomas was very, very, very good in that film. The best thing about that film.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
A lot of people have said that, even people who don't like the film agree that she's terrifying. She's very towering.
She's got the best performance. Without a doubt, in that film, she has got the best performance.
She acts like she's about 10 foot tall. She's so strong and even the bad guy, I actually don't know his name because he's like an unknown Thai actor, but he was very good in it. He was very, very scary. But this is, like I said, this is the kind of film that we could just talk about for
hours.
Absolutely, yeah, for hours and hours.
Whole video just on our mixed opinions of a local film.
But I enjoyed it. You didn't enjoy it.
I hated it.
I think we can both agree that Grown Ups 2 was one of the worst films of the year.
Yeah.
I watched that film and I probably actually had the most fun writing the review this year. It's one of the easiest reviews I've ever written.
I personally think that Adam Sandler is one of those actors that should kind of start doing some serious stuff. I think I loved Funny People. I know a lot of people did, but it's really nice to see an actor who doesn't necessarily do that type of stuff all the time just start doing something completely different and just being out there and just kind of...
The thing is, it's not like he hasn't explored that that field of serious acting. He has. Rain Over Me, which is a film that came out quite a few years ago, was a very good film. He was terrific in it. He just shows the capability that he can do. He can do it. He just chooses to make god awful comedies now. There's nothing wrong with making comedies. You've had some great classic Adam Sandler comedies.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing, it's not even like it had a bad cast. I mean, I love Rules of Engagement, that's got David Spade in it. You've got...
I mean, he doesn't like Chris Rock.
Chris Rock? No, I don't mind Chris Rock.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of Chris Rock, I don't mind Chris Rock. Kevin James from... he did...
Here Comes the Boom.
Here Comes the Boom, I love that. I loved Here Comes the Boom, that UFC thing. He lost loads of weight for it as well, since King of Queens, which was his TV show.
Good show.
It's a good cast, so I don't know how something like that can go so wrong. They've only just proven that it can. And that really... I mean, what was considered... I mean, talking about disappointing films actually of the year, the one thing that I will stand by, and I will happily put my hands up for, The Lone Ranger. I liked The Lone Ranger. I think it was one of the most underappreciated films of this year. When you can't possibly... I mean, yeah, it did run on too long, 2.5 hours or something. It had the longest running time possibly of the year. But there wasn't wrong with it. Armie Hammer, pretty good in it. Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp is as quirky as he normally is. Pretty good in it. You had a lot of people and faces in it, and it was an enjoyable film. I don't see why... I can understand why there's been so much criticism. But I don't think necessarily it's just because I thought it was quite good.
It just didn't look bad. I mean, I've avoided it for a reason. I don't really have that much of an interest in watching The Lone Ranger, but it doesn't look... I don't think it... Obviously, I can't really say, but personally, I don't think it kind of deserved the kind of criticism
No,
it got with the film. It's one of those films you can't really say much about.
I still think though this month, I mean, there's been a couple of things. I was disappointed with Elysium, that didn't do as much as I thought it would. Mortal Instruments, we actually both walked out of at the beginning of it. I'm a massive fan of the Twilight franchise, I'm prepared to admit it.
I like New Moon.
Yeah, but it kind of felt like it's trying to be one of those franchises, and someone explains to me the plot of the books, and I don't really kind of see how that's going to translate into a film, like a franchise anyway. We're the Millers, I was really excited for this. I know this is another film that we I was really disappointed with it. I just didn't laugh at all. I was kind of the robot that sat in the corner of that room while everybody else apparently appreciated it.
Apparently, we was in a sold out screen, weren't we, when we went to go see it, and this guy was the only person not laughing.
Not laughing.
I thought it was very, very funny. I'm not a big fan of the actual cast in the film. Obviously, I like Friends and Jennifer Aniston. I don't really rate her as an actress, but I thought it really gelled well, and it had some really good moments of comedy that kind of just absolutely tickle your ribs. It was that kind of a comedy, not a giggle, had a full-on laugh.
Yeah.
But Kick-Ass 2.
There's not really a lot to say about Kick-Ass 2.
It's a hard one. I think following a film where it's a really popular comic, then it got adapted into a film, and the true fans saw Kick-Ass, and then you had people who didn't even know what Kick-Ass was, and they watched it and they really enjoyed it. I love Kick-Ass.
Yeah, I like
Then against Kick-Ass 2, I thought it was good. Not necessary.
Yeah.
It
just kind of felt like
it was
the
a hard
same as
one.
everything else. It just was just extended. It was nice to see Jim Carrey back on the screens though. Again.
Yeah.
It's been a while since Jim Carrey was around, but again he was kind of the best thing in it. Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah.
He's going to be in Godzilla next year, which is pretty cool.
One we're very excited about.
But yeah, I mean, the guy is now hench. It's quite impressive, but it just kind of felt like he was just playing the same character again. But I don't know. It was just something about it. It just kind of felt, very samey. It just kind of felt like they were trying to just repackage something that they'd already done once.
Your
but
next,
I think we are both in agreement that actually looking at that list, I'm a massive fan of The Conjuring. But I think Your Next steals it. I think Your Next steals August. I think it was the best horror film of last year. It was just completely just satirical of the whole horror genre, and it just brought not necessarily anything new, but it just kind of made it just really nice. It was a cool film. It just sat down.
But then again, if we remember, this is another film which is actually, this is about 2 years older than this film. This film was released into film festivals in 2011. It's directed by Adam Wingard, who is part of the whole VHS group. VHS obviously being a very, very good film, which is probably one of my favourites last year. VHS 2 was released
VHS was this year.
in August. Obviously not a very big cinema release. VHS 2 was probably...
VHS was October.
Okay. But Your Next was, I'll kind of agree, Your Next was really, really good. Clever, very clever film.
Yeah, just the whole idea, like, if you've not seen it, it's kind of your whole family, you go to a house and then get kind of
killed off
by
this
one
random person. There's a lot of...
or random group.
A lot more to it.
Yeah, a lot more to it than that. I mean, the ending's really clever, everything about it. There's a really cool twist in it as well. Like this whole idea of, like, you normally have the heroes and the heroines and that who are just kind of weaker, but this kind of family just ended up being like superheroes to themselves, and one of the women, it's just a very, very good film. Just definitely go out and see that. In fact, it's made both of our top lists. Is it?
Not mine.
Definitely
no.
not mine. I loved Your Next. I just thought it was such a cool...
It's the one, if I could make it a top 11, I'll make it a top 11. Pain and Gain though.
Yeah, Pain and Gain.
Pain and Gain was... I really, really enjoyed the film. We talked about Michael Bay recently. He's not one of my favourite directors of all time, but I really enjoyed... Well, I really liked what he kind of did with Pain and Gain. It was a low budget action film, and he's really renowned for making high budget action films, over the top CGI and explosions, and every second if someone's just talking there's an explosion or planets blowing up or something. But this was a simple action film that worked. It was really, really funny too. I would really like to see Michael Bay do that a lot more. Just to do these kind of simple films that just deliver. Oh, this is really clever. Mark Wahlberg, really funny. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Very, very funny.
He's been loads of stuff. Hercules, he was in Fast and Furious.
Yep.
He's just coming out with all these new things, isn't he? He's doing pretty well for himself.
I was really looking forward to Pain and Gain anyway, but your favourite is probably, I'm guessing Your Next.
Your Next does it for me. The Conjuring was really good. I loved it. I think August was the month of horror film. But yeah, I just think Your Next just clinches it. It was a brilliant film.
The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Mine. I mean, I don't think I have to say your. Actually, that's something quite interesting. What's the worst of August for you?
Let's have a look at the list. It's only Gophagus. Only Gophagus. We've had a couple on there. But Grown-ups 2 is technically a kids' film. If I'm looking at the quality of film, I just get so wound up by Only God Forgives. I actually think it's probably it's up there with Now You See Me in terms of how much it annoyed me. What about yours?
I would say him, but he wasn't released. Grown-ups 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
September.
Yeah, September.
Quite a quiet month. Obviously, it's after the summer, and then you're getting the films that kind of getting released that are getting towards the Oscar season. So it's summer's over, and then Oscar season kind of creeps in.
Yep.
Kind of slowly taking over the months, and we had that with September. You know, we've got Blue Jasmine that's been.
September, I think, had the strongest lineup of films for this year in terms of just pure quality of film. I mean, what was it? Prisoners, Filth, Blue Jasmine, Insidious 2, About Time, Rush.
Oh, of course, yeah, I can't forget Rush.
That's like 6 films. Rush. Well, it's so good. Everything about that film is good. Daniel Bruhl, nice to see Chris Hemsworth as well coming away from Thor.
Yeah.
Just such a good film.
Ron Howard back too.
Ron Howard
doing what he's really good at. And
yeah, that's who would have thought. I'm not a massive fan of F1, but that film for me, that's trying to go. That's that and Before Midnight, man. I can't make up my decision which one I like more. We were lucky enough to see a preview of Prisoners as well when that came out.
Yep.
Loved Prisoners.
Well, again,
Hugh Jackman again. Hugh Jackman, his third one. He's got some for it. I mean, this year it's Leo versus Hugh. Who's brought out the best ones, I think, this year.
I think it was Prisoners was kind of it's a dark horse, I think, of this year. That it was one that wasn't really advertised that much. It wasn't really put out there. It wasn't one that people were looking forward to. It's one that kind of just appeared a week before it was going to come out, and people were just like, oh, this film's got Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. And
the posters and advertisement just screamed Zodiac. So I don't know if it was about 2008.
So around, I think.
Yeah, about 2008. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, yeah, exactly.
Fincher film, which is very good.
You just look at that. All the posters came up, and there was like a crosshatch design and all that lot on it. And I'm a massive fan of Jake Gyllenhaal, and obviously we've just gone into about quite a bit of detail of how much I like Hugh Jackman.
Melissa Leo was actually very good in that film. Melissa Leo
was very good in it. What's his name?
Howard.
Yeah, Paul Dano.
Oh, Paul Dano, of course.
Was awesome in it.
Yep, and you had the
Viola Davis, isn't it?
And you had that random guy from The Dark Knight who's the Joker's kind of right hand man, just kind of make an appearance in Prisoners, which we kind of noted. Rush.
Rush
was such a good film.
Yeah. We actually watched that together. It was just unbelievable film. Went in there thinking this was going to be alright, came out thinking it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. It was
it's probably better.
So good. It's better than sliced bread.
I'd rather watch Rush.
I'd rather not eat bread again and just have Rush on Blu-ray or something like that. It'd be perfect.
One day I'll just put Rush on, lock my room, throw away the key, and just grow a massive beard. If I could, I would.
I mean, talking about performances though this year, it had Blue Jasmine. So we have Woody Allen. Woody Allen comes out with this new film. Wrong Woody. Yeah, but Woody Allen comes out, brings out Blue Jasmine, cast Cate Blanchett, and without a doubt, best female performance of the year. Arguable, Judi Dench, Philomena, probably comes quite close.
Yep.
Marion Cotillard hasn't been in anything this year, so that kind of rules her out.
Yeah, probably was.
It just kind of. It was just really, really good. That's up there on my list as well.
Obviously, you're a big Woody Allen fan. I'm not the biggest Woody Allen fan. I don't really enjoy his films.
Oh, Alec Baldwin. It's got Alec Baldwin in it. Oh, it's just To Rome with Love, Midnight in Paris, all that. Oh, it's just a lovely, lovely film.
Yeah.
Oh man, but
let's just find your masculinity back and let's talk about a Filth.
Filth, yeah.
Quite surprisingly. A film we really enjoyed actually.
Yeah, James McAvoy's third outing of the year. Trance and Sucker Punch.
No, Welcome to the Punch.
Welcome to the Punch.
Welcome
That's
to the
it.
Punch.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
came out earlier, I think March. It came up. But McAvoy showing that he's got the potential to really do something. I think it's probably a character that he probably really felt most connected to.
Well, a lot of it was filmed in Edinburgh. There's loads of scenes in there. When you go up to Scotland, if you've ever been to Edinburgh, you can see obviously a lot of the castle, the Royal Mile. There's a couple of scenes in there that was like very recognisable. He got to use his mother tongue again.
Yep.
Got to be lovely and Scottish again. Yeah, it was just a good film. It was good. I didn't think it deserved the praise as much as everyone was saying it did though. I mean, I know you guys loved it. Yeah, some of the guys we saw it with loved it as well. It just kind of felt just almost like they were trying too hard with it. They were trying to make it look as gritty and dirty and raw as they needed it to, and I kind of just felt like they overstepped that boundary
Yeah.
a couple of times. Yeah, but
He was a character that you'd enjoyed to watch. He was a very broken character, and he's broken from the start, and you kind of, the whole film is about trying to find out why he is the way he is, and I think McAvoy didn't get a lot of I don't think he got enough praise for his role. Yeah. Apart from the films that we kind of talked about, you've had
Insidious 2 came out.
his favourite actor, Ben Affleck. Runner was released, which was absolutely dreadful.
Absolutely dreadful.
R.I.P.
It makes you
bad.
wonder how Warner Brothers have gone anywhere near him with the script for Batman vs Superman. If he was directing it, I'd be right on board with it. No worries. But yeah, the less said about Runner, I think the better.
I don't want to hold through my walls tonight. But R.I.P.D. another film that's just absolutely dreadful. Obviously, we've got a review up on our blog if you want to go back and find it. The Call.
I quite like
The
the
Call.
yeah. Random one from WWE Studios. Well, Warner Brothers as well. I quite liked it. Halle Berry just randomly appearing. I mean, she had cloud outlets at the beginning of the year, like we've already discussed.
Yep.
But yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was one of those easily watchable films. The best way that I described it was up until the point at which it got stupid. They just decided that they were just going to make that about 15 minutes. It didn't really worry you. Like, there wasn't that fear that they're just going to keep it's stupid now, and now I've got the rest of the film to watch, just going bored of it. You know, it didn't have that, which was quite nice to see.
Yeah.
It just kind of went through.
Insidious 2 though, I think. I don't think you caught that.
I never saw it. No, I've never seen any Insidious films. You've lent me them.
Yep. Insidious 2 was really good. I was really worried. I'm a big fan of the first one. I was really worried when they kind of announced a sequel. I just thought, how can you carry on with that cliffhanger ending? And Leigh Whannell and James Wan, obviously geniuses, and they did really well carrying it on, and it was deserving of a sequel in the end. One of my favourite films this year.
I still think
not a top 10 though, but
I was really worried about it because, like, even though I haven't seen it, it's that whole idea of the fact that James Wan had, he'd been recently attached to Fast and Furious. He just had The Conjuring. To bring out Insidious 2, what was essentially only 2-3 weeks after The Conjuring, it just kind of feels like a mishmash. It kind of feels like someone who's just almost working too hard. But it kind of worked out quite well. You know, you always said that Insidious is pretty good. Yeah, so we were pleasantly surprised by that one. So what was your favourite of the month?
It's really hard because 2 of those films are in my top 10, even top 5. I'll have to go and say Rush.
Yeah, we're agreeing. It's
Prisoners
between Rush and Prisoners.
So close.
Prisoners and Rush are just...
Maybe Rush was a bit more short and sweet. It was still long. Prisoners, the only thing I would say about Prisoners is that it kind of went a bit too long. They could have cut about 10-15 minutes, which would have made it absolutely perfect. Rush nicked it.
Rush just stolen it. Rush was just so good.
The worst,
really
I think we're both going to say Runner
Yeah.
is the worst.
Yeah, without a doubt. Runner. I think I'm a bit biased with that, but Runner is terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
October had a very interesting month.
we were talking about earlier on, like, the disappointing thing about Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 was just disappointing. And I kind of felt the same with Thor: The Dark World. I liked it, don't get me wrong, I like these films, but they just don't live up to the hype of it. Thor 2, for instance, was very... I don't know, it didn't use Christopher Eccleston enough.
Yeah,
It didn't go much into the enemies. It didn't show enough of the relationship between Thor and his mum and kind of even Tom Hiddleston, Loki and his mum and stuff like that. Like, some of the themes that ran through the film just weren't explained enough. I think because of that, it kind of felt like it lacked. I actually think it's one of the rare films that actually deserved more time. It deserved an extra 15-20 minutes, just a quick scene here or there to kind of just explain and to kind of get a bit more detail and information out of people. So that was kind of, for me, the biggest thing about the month.
I quite enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of the first one, but when you kind of hear news that a couple of months before it's going to come out, they've got Joss Whedon flying out to London to touch the script up when the film's going to be released a couple of months before. It kind of flashes warning signs that there's a potential problem that they've only just realised. So it does feel like they've kind of... It's not a great film, it's a good film. But again, like you said, it's a bit disappointing for us. Ender's Game, it got pretty good reviews from a lot of people. We wasn't big fans.
Wasn't massively disappointing, but it just didn't feel right. Harrison Ford just kind of feels a bit... I truly believe Harrison Ford is a brilliant actor. I think he's great. Air Force One, Fugitive, obviously Star Wars, all that lot. I think he's great, but he's just, at the moment, just seems to be picking roles. I mean, he had that film out, released in America, wasn't released over here in the end, with Liam Hemsworth in it, and Gary Oldman. That just didn't do apparently great. That only made apparently $9,000 or something in its first week. Something stupid on like limited release and stuff like that. It just kind of didn't feel right for him. It kind of felt like it just needed to progress right.
Yeah, Bad Grandpa though. Bad Grandpa, did you catch that?
No, I'm not a massive Jackass fan. I used to be, but
Well, I'm a big Jackass fan. I thought Bad Grandpa was actually very, very, very funny. It really lacked in the first hour of the film. I was sitting there just thinking, this is not funny. Then it was traditional Jackass. It got very, very funny, and it was the kind of first time they've kind of followed a script of some kind, and it's staged, but it's still funny. Escape Plan.
Guilty pleasure.
We really enjoyed Escape Plan.
It's like really nostalgic about seeing Stallone and Schwarzenegger go back on screen again. It was just such a cool thing to watch. The only thing I would say about it was that it almost seemed too clever. Like, for the actors that were in it, it kind of felt too clever. You just kind of want to see him walking around. I mean, I did like Schwarzenegger just like holding on to like the minigun, just taking it off of a helicopter and then just happily just like, mowing down like loads of people.
You don't tell Schwarzenegger what to do. No, he tells you what to do.
Exactly. But yeah, probably guilty pleasure in a month. I mean, how can we go any further without mentioning the Captain Phillips?
Oh, yeah.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, yeah, obviously Tom Hanks has been getting nominated for every award under the sun for Captain Phillips, and rightly so. That's what I think. I think he's terrific. I think there's probably been some stronger performances this year.
There's definitely been stronger performances. For me, Tom Hanks, he's a brilliant actor, but he only acts for the last 10 minutes of the film. He only is that person. Don't get me wrong, that last 10 minutes is probably one of the most noteworthy performances in the last 10 years. Or possibly of his career.
Yeah.
But there's just... I don't know. That doesn't feel to me like Oscar worthy. So people shouldn't be giving him awards just for 10 minutes of a film. I know supporting actors and all that lot sometimes are, but... What was it we were talking about the other day?
With Anthony Hopkins winning Best Actor for The Silence of the Lambs, and he's only got a screen time of about 20 minutes.
Yeah, just...
But I think personally for me, Captain Phillips, it all leads up to the end of the film, and that's where he's really got his chance to show off his true emotion. He's not going to make himself feel vulnerable in front of the Somali pirates, and at the end, you know, he gets to release all the emotions that he's been boiling up for those last couple of hours. And but Barkhad Abidi, who plays the main pirate, was really, really good. I think he's probably
Greengrass as well.
The Greengrass,
unbelievable director.
Yeah.
It was a well put together film. I did love the film. I loved it, but I just feel that there's you kind of got to look at it in a different way. You know, there's very different ways of looking at it. And I think, you never know.
But VHS 2, I know you haven't seen the first one, but VHS 2 was probably one of the best films of the year. One of the segments in it, which was directed by the director of Raid, which was released last year. I believe last year before that.
Last year,
yeah. Gareth Evans, really, really cool segment when they go to Thailand, and there's a school that's kind of got a reputation for dodgy stuff going on, and they go there and investigate it. All found footage, and there's loads of other cool segments that are directed by different directors.
Guy that did Your Next.
Yeah, Adam Wingard was involved. It's a really, really cool concept, and it's way, way better than VHS. This is the second one's much better. But we've also got kind of the last three films of October that were kind of disappointing or bad.
No, I actually like Sunshine on Leaf. Sunshine on Leaf, it was one of those, just a nice film, just kind of can just chill out. It was all done on the music of the Proclaimers. All filmed up in Edinburgh. Love Edinburgh. Just for me, it's just a great, great city, and everything about it was just really nice. It was just a nostalgic film about guys come back from Afghanistan, have to try and get back into life, and yeah, it was just a nice film. You just your Sunday afternoon ones where you just flick on the telly and then that's it. You know.
I'd rather flick on Dark Knight on my Sunday afternoon. I don't know about you, but Fifth Estate. That was noted as the biggest box office bomb of the year.
It made about 5% of its original budget back, or 15% of its original budget.
I had to walk out of the film. It's a shame. Well, I'm big fans of Benedict Cumberbatch and Daniel Brawl, and it just didn't really work. The screenwriter adapted 3 different novels and put them into one screenplay. I don't agree with that personally, and the story was a bit jumbled, and the performances equally weren't great. It didn't really feel like they were connected to the script to really appreciate the film. And it's a very controversial subject as well, especially with being in America. They in America absolutely hate Julian Assange. They see him as like a traitor spy, and I don't think it was a story to be told yet. It's too early.
I still needed a few more years.
A few years down the line when it's all cleared up and everything's been released, and then get the true events. I probably thought that wasn't the greatest film.
So what was your best one of October?
Even though it didn't get a big cinema release, VHS 2 was my favourite film of October.
I'd probably have to say mine was probably Captain Phillips. Probably closely followed by Thor. I was disappointed by Thor, but I don't know. I like both. So November, as we nearly at the end of our year review. November was pretty. It looked like it was supposed to have the greatest films, like in terms of drama and story. The likes of The Counselor, Don Hemingway. We had the Hunger Games sequel come out this month as well, Saving Mr. Banks, Carrie remake.
Yeah.
We had loads of films like that, but it felt to me like half of the films that came out were not great. Like they weren't hitting their mark, you know. The Counselor for me was the biggest disappointment.
I feel the films that weren't ever going to be considered, obviously like we talked, it was getting into Oscar season, and November's really November's quite a pivotal month for the Oscars, especially with Gravity. I just feel like every other film that kind of came out around the time of Gravity and kind of same as The Banks and The Hunger Games was really affected. Obviously, Hunger Games hasn't been nominated for any Oscars and probably won't be. We don't know yet. I feel like everything else was kind of left behind. Don John is a really, really good film.
Yeah,
I watched that recently and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good effort from Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Well, it's got
potential.
Sandman now. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's just been awarded director and to star into a comic book adaptation called Sandman. I honestly think without Don John, he wouldn't have been considered.
Yeah.
So it's quite nice to see that, for a film like that, Don John, very limited release within the UK, just did so well. Just did so well, which is nice to see.
On the other hand, The Counsellor was a film that people were kind of looking forward to, and then the reviews started to come out, and it wasn't
really negative. None of them
great.
Fassbender, he's got 12 Years a Slave coming out next year. Not really do much this year from what I can remember on the list. It was
Fassbender, no, I think he's obviously a bit too busy doing the new X-Men and 12 Years a Slave. I just feel Ridley Scott's kind of coming to the end of his tether now. He's got Exodus coming out next year, which is starring Christian Bale as Moses.
Oh.
So that could potentially be a good film. I just feel like potentially with Ridley Scott, you never really know. It's a bit of
there's untouched ground.
Bit of Russian roulette. It could be a good film or bad film. Prometheus obviously came out a couple of years ago or last year, sorry.
Yeah.
And
I like Prometheus.
we enjoyed Prometheus, but not a lot of people did. Cancer, some people actually really enjoyed it and got the point of the film, but I didn't get the point of the film. There's a lot missing from it that I didn't really see the point of it. It had such a good cast and such potential, but the main foundations of it just wasn't there to carry it and to make it a good film.
Let's mention it, let's get out of the way now. Gravity. Alfonso Cuarón.
Yep.
Great film. Great film. Not one I'd watch again. I feel that the events within it were really, really good. The 3D was unbelievable. The story's really good. Cuarón, when you look at basically the credits for that film, he did everything. I'm fairly certain that at one point he dressed up like Sandra Bullock. And he was in it. I mean, he did everything you possibly imagine. Brilliant film.
Might have even played the moon at one point too. Maybe.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's the face. He's the face on the moon. Unbelievable. There's not really a bad thing to say about it.
I think it was it's a film that was made with a lot of patience and love and care. The last film he made was Children of Men, which was 2005. Was it that long ago? So, maybe. Before I did Prisoner of Azkaban, which is my favourite Harry Potter film. A lot of time from Children of Men to Gravity, he's developed this film and he's, like I said, put a lot of care and love into it. He's dedicated his time and he's done absolutely everything. And I believe if you've got a director who's made his original story and he's doing everything, it's never going to fail. The screenplay isn't amazing. It's not the best screenplay that's been released this year. But the film itself is probably one of the greatest films this year, and it's one that will never kind of be forgotten. It was the film people were talking about as a massive buzz about it, and everyone had to see it in 3D. You don't really get that a lot these days. 3D is normally avoided. But I had to talk about Sandra Bullock, that I thought she was terrific in the film.
I don't think she's deserving of the Oscar though for it. I don't think so. I think that there's Emma Thompson was in Saving Mr. Banks out the same month. I think her performance as I can't remember her name. T.L. Travers was unbelievable, or P.L. Travers.
P.L. Travers.
Yeah, she was unbelievable. She's very, very good. Deserves the awards and that she's recently been getting, and I think she should go all the way with it. I think that I think there's just better performances out there. Sandra Bullock's good in it, but I think going back to it, Blue Jasmine. Looking at Cate Blanchett, looking at Judi Dench and Philomena. I mean, even you don't like saying it, but Hunger Games. When you look at Jennifer Lawrence, then that's. I don't like the fact that she has an Oscar, but
I personally think Alfonso Cuarón deserves to at least get nominated for Gravity, and I think he will.
Yeah.
He will get nominated because visually, it's a stunning film, and I wouldn't even know where to start with that film, of that magnitude of how much is going on, and it just looks absolutely stunning.
It's lovely looking film.
But Hunger Games.
I liked Hunger Games. I liked the second part. Thought it was good.
Yep.
Like the Hunger Games first one. Didn't like there's a couple of things I had few issues with in the first film. But the second one was pretty good. It's your standard film. It's your standard middle film. You've got another 2 coming out. Was it Mockingjay Part 1 and 2?
Yeah.
But you just kind of have to allow it to kind of develop, and I think we're getting to that point where with Hunger Games at least it's getting to that next step, and they need to have this middle filler in order to move it on. And I thought they did a pretty good job. Woody Harrelson again redeeming his Now You See Me.
Introducing Philip Seymour Hoffman. I think that's the one thing that they've done really well. When you kind of get a teen kind of franchise, you've had like the likes of Twilight, Harry Potter. That's why Harry Potter did so well. It had some really good cast in it. With Hunger Games, you've got some very, very strong actors. Obviously, Jennifer Lawrence is absolutely terrific all the time. I've never really seen her perform badly. And introducing Philip Seymour Hoffman, another actor who I adore, just adds to it and makes it more than just kind of a teen franchise. It appeals to a wider audience. That's why it's so popular.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But really, I mean, what's your favourite one?
Well, I quite enjoyed Carrie. I thought the remake was obviously nowhere near as good as the original, but it's deserving of some good praise. But I'd probably say my favourite was Gravity.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gravity was the best. I think we would both agree. Counsellor.
The worst counsellor, yeah. I mean, to be fair, if you look at November, it's quite a strong month.
Yeah.
But Counsellor, has to be the worst. But we move on to December.
Yeah, definitely.
December,
we've had a couple out this month. I mean, I suppose the biggest thing that we can mention is the Hobbit film. Both of us, I think, massively disappointed. Massively disappointed. I've recently gone back and watched the original trilogy through, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And the fact that he built models and he had proper fights and he brought people in costume, I think speaks volumes. I think it's this whole idea of CGI again just going way out of control.
Yeah.
The Hobbit has just done that, and I just think it just didn't look good. It just felt like they were going 5 paces and took them 3 hours to get there. You know, just that whole idea of
it's just been dragged out unnecessarily. I think it would have been acceptable to make it into 2 films, and you cut out a lot of the stuff that you just don't even need.
Definitely.
But the one thing that really kind of made me think, oh, I'm not the only one. I saw a TV spot for The Hobbit today, actually, and it's one of those TV spots that have the reviews pop up through the film, and it said, "Fantastic" by Nuts magazine, and then you had some like Heat magazine, really good. It's not, if you had Gravity TV spot, you'd have Empire, Total Film, and all
Times,
the papers.
Guardian, you'd have all the.
None of the big, apart from Empire, obviously you gave it I don't know how they gave that 5 stars. Everyone else has kind of agreed with us on with Hobbit.
So. I think another big one of the month actually as well to say is Disney's effort with Frozen.
Yeah.
I actually think that could rival Despicable Me too. I think it's got the audience, it's got the reviews, it's got the prestige about it at the moment. I think we could see. I think Despicable Me had like 918 million or something it made. It was huge, famous, everything. Pharrell's song on it, Happy, brilliant song. Everything about Despicable Me was brilliant. But apparently Frozen now, this film is on par, one of the reviews I read, on par with Beauty and the Beast. Were you talking 1996, around that time? It's not a bad thing to say about a film. I think we will see going into the new year, Frozen will be doing well, very very well.
It'll be interesting to see how Frozen actually continues after the Christmas period, because being so close to Christmas, it's very very popular. But will it drop after Christmas? Will people still see it? That's another thing.
Yeah.
That's where it might suffer.
Especially going into the new year, people like the Oscars and things like that, and kids go back to school, and we'd like to see how it does. But I still think it'll be a huge contender.
Obviously, we've still got a couple of films that haven't come out. Still, Secret Love of Walter Mitty hasn't come out yet. Always Lost. 47 Ronin.
47 Ronin.
Which is one we're really looking
I am waiting for that film. Keanu Reeves.
We're big fans of Keanu
massive
Reeves.
American Hustle comes out
American
next year.
Hustle,
Apparently at West End already. It's already out. Good reviews. But I think that's one of those films that's probably going to be quite good to do for 2014. It's one of the nice ones of the year. It comes out very early in 2014. And it'll be just something to watch. But actually one of the most upsetting things came out this month, only about a couple of weeks ago. And I think you'll agree with me. The remake of Old Boy.
Yeah. It was unnecessary. We both agree that the first half of the film was really promising.
Oh, it's a lovely film. Brilliant film. Beautiful film.
We thought, wow, this could actually be pretty good. I thought Spike Lee directed it really well, and about halfway through it just got cut, and some executives just came in and just completely took over the film.
It felt like a westernisation of what is essentially an Eastern film, whereas the cinema of it just completely changes. They're trying to almost justify the reasons for what's happening during the film instead of just accepting the fact that that's what's happening. Obviously, I'm not going to give too much away because I implore you to watch Old Boy, the original. It is an unbelievable film, really, really good. Just the remake, I mean, even Josh Brolin just hasn't had a good year. He's Old Boy and Gangster Squad and stuff like that. I mean, he's not had a great year with films. There's a scene in it which kind of is synonymous. If you've seen it, it's the hammer scene. And it just kind of looked like everyone was kind of hitting Josh Brolin with polystyrene. It wasn't a very well choreographed fight scene.
Yeah, but it just looked badly choreographed. It looked too staged. I mean, obviously when you watch a film, it's all staged, it's acted out. But the best thing about a film is when you kind of get lost and you forget you're watching a film. You think this is real life. This was just too choreographed for me, and it just didn't feel real for me.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with you on that.
Anchorman 2, one that split us. I really enjoyed Anchorman 2.
Yeah, I was massively disappointed with Anchorman 2. I love the first one. The first one was one of the funniest things. I remember sitting in the cinema watching the first one and I was in tears of laughter. But this one just didn't do it. There was a couple of funny moments, but no, it just didn't really feel like it was just doing it,
Yeah, I mean, I think personally they did well to do well with a sequel. I mean, you don't normally get a sequel to a very very funny original comedy, and they kind of pull it off. I thought they kind of pull it off.
They had some really funny bits in it, like they cut really good editing and some of the jokes. It just made it look really really funny.
I think it could have been a lot worse. I think that's the one thing you have to consider with Anchorman 2 is that it could have been an absolute disaster.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But I mean, the nice thing is when you're sitting there in a packed screen and people are laughing along, at least then you've done something right. And I think that's the thing. They've appealed to a lot more of an audience than they probably assumed that they would do at the start. And it just worked for them. I think they should be really pat themselves on the back for it. Yeah, but I mean, from the look of it, that is coming to the end of our list of this year, 2013. Some would say a good year, some would say a bad year, some would say a disappointing year. What would you say?
I personally think it was a good year. I think it's the kind of year that you had films that you were expecting but that weren't great, but then you had some films that kind of disappeared and they were terrific. There's such as Rush and Prisoners. I just thought they were brilliant films. Man of Steel delivered for me, and I thought it was a successful year. It was a year that's made a lot of money.
Yeah, true.
And from unexpected kind of sources too, like The Croods making money.
Yeah.
Despicable Me 2 making a hell of a lot of money, and
Yeah.
even Iron Man 3 making $1 billion when it came out in late April, which is very strange.
World War Z, most amount of money that Brad Pitt has ever accrued from films.
Yeah.
You know, over 500 million, I think, for that. Not too bad. Some people would argue it's disappointing. I think when you look at the big blockbusters of the year, Iron Man 3 for instance, and yeah, it kind of just felt like there was some strengths and some weaknesses of it really. But yeah, I probably tend to agree with it. When you look at stuff like Prisoners, you look at Rush, you look at kind of effectively what is our top 10 of films. I mean, Before Midnight, I know there's obviously been 2 before it, but love that film, that's top, followed by Rush, Prisoners, it's all up there. Conjuring was up there, Your Next is on there. They're just some really, really good films that came out that didn't really have a lot of weight behind them when they were being released. But yeah, not too bad.
What's your top 10 of the year?
Well, like I just said, for me, I'd probably go, Before Midnight first, then I got Rush, Prisoners, love The Conjuring. I love the film, there was a film out called Arbitrage, I think we spoke about it earlier on. Loved Arbitrage, that was really good. I loved Side Effects, I loved Trance, just got some really ones out there, but definitely the top of mine would definitely be Before Next. What about yours?
Rush was my film of the year. Django Unchained. I bet a lot of people obviously forget, and we've talked about it. It's kind of a 2012 film, but it's for us a 2013 film. Man of Steel. Was my third favourite. Prisoners, Starship Into Darkness.
Starship, oh yeah, it's all these films that you just forget.
Gravity, Captain Phillips, and then The Conjuring, VHS 2 and Evil Dead were my favourites too. And that's my top 10, so Rush kind of takes it for me, and Before Midnight takes yours.
Without a doubt. Alright, so that's it. You now know all things movies. You know our 2013 review. Hopefully there's going to be some stuff around. Hopefully just like our page on Facebook, follow our reviews, we're on the blog, we've got it all on there, all the information can be seen just around and about this video. So
if you like our review too, just kind of share our page, trying to get out there a lot more. We're going to be trying to do a lot more YouTube videos as well.
Yeah.
So in the future you'll see a preview for 2014, and then when it comes to it in March, we'll do a Oscar special.
Yep.
Of when the nominations are announced. We'll talk through all the nominations and tell you who you think we should win and who probably will win.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about who probably will win and who we think personally should win.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, that's us.
That's right. Well, thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.